I never thought I'd experience anything like this. It started out as a regular day, just like any other at school. I was sitting in my first period class, trying to focus on the teacher's lecture, when the ground shook violently beneath us. The lights flickered, and a low rumble echoed through the building. Panic rippled through the classroom, and students exchanged worried glances. The teacher rushed to the window, her face pale as she peered outside.
"Everyone, stay calm. It's probably just an earthquake,"
she reassured us, though her voice quivered with uncertainty. But it wasn't an earthquake. The ground continued to tremble, and the sounds of chaos erupted from the corridors. Suddenly, a deafening roar pierced the air, and the classroom windows shattered as something massive crashed through them. The sight that greeted us was beyond comprehension. Monstrous creatures, unlike anything I'd ever seen, were swarming the school grounds. Their skin was a sickly shade of gray, their limbs twisted and gnarled, and their eyes glowed with a malevolent light. They moved with an unnatural speed, their bodies contorting and twisting as if they were part of some grotesque dance. "Run!" our teacher screamed, her voice barely audible over the chaos. We scrambled to our feet, our chairs falling over in our haste to escape. The hallway outside was a scene of horror. Students and teachers running in every direction, trying to escape the onslaught of the monstrous invaders. I joined the stampede, my heart pounding in my chest as I raced down the hallway. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the sounds of the creatures' roars echoed in my ears. I caught glimpses of them as I ran, their twisted forms and bared fangs etching themselves into my mind. My friends and I managed to find each other in the chaos. Sarah, Mark, and Lisa, our faces were a mixture of fear and determination as we huddled together, seeking safety in numbers. We ducked into an empty classroom, barricading the door with desks and chairs. "What the hell are those things?" Mark gasped, his eyes wide with disbelief. "I don't know, but we need to find a way out of here," Sarah replied, her voice shaking. Outside the classroom, the sounds of destruction grew louder. The creatures were tearing through the building, their roars mingling with the panicked screams of the students and staff. We knew we couldn't stay hidden for long. We needed to come up with a plan, and fast. Lisa's eyes flickered to the window. "The school's gymnasium has an emergency exit. It leads to the woods behind the building. Maybe we can escape that way." It was a risky plan, but it was our best shot at survival. We nodded in agreement and quietly made our way down the hallway, sticking to the shadows to avoid detection. The creatures were preoccupied with their rampage, their attention focused on the destruction they were causing. We reached the gymnasium and slipped inside. The smell of sweat and old sports equipment lingered in the air as we hurried toward the emergency exit. The door creaked open, and we stepped out into the dense woods behind the school. As we ran, our hearts pounded in our chests, our footsteps crunching on the fallen leaves beneath us. We could hear the creatures' roars growing fainter in the distance, and a glimmer of hope flickered within us. Maybe we had a chance after all, but our relief was short-lived. Just as we thought we had escaped, the ground beneath us trembled again. We turned to see the creatures emerging from the woods, their eyes fixated on us. There was no way to outrun them, no way to hide from their relentless pursuit. "Split up!" I shouted, my voice tinged with desperation. We scattered in different directions, hoping to confuse the creatures and increase our chances of survival. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The forest seemed to close in around me, the trees casting elongated shadows that danced like specters in the dim light. I dared not look back, fearing that the creatures were right behind me. Hours passed, hours that felt like an eternity, as I navigated the maze-like woods. Exhaustion threatened to overtake me, but the fear of those monsters nipping at my heels kept me moving. Finally, as dawn broke, I stumbled upon a clearing. It was there that I found Sarah and Mark, both huddled together and gasping for breath. Relief flooded through me as I collapsed beside them, my lungs burning from the effort. "We lost Lisa," Mark said, his voice choked with emotion. "We got separated." Tears welled up in our eyes as we realized that our escape had come at a cost. Lisa, our friend, was gone, taken by those abominations that had invaded our school. With no other option, we continued to move through the woods, driven by the instinct to survive. Our bodies ached, our minds were haunted by the memories of the creatures' roars, but we pressed on. We had to find help had to find a way to stop these monsters from terrorizing others. As we emerged from the woods, we stumbled upon a road and a nearby gas station. We were disheveled, covered in dirt and sweat, our faces etched with fear. The attendant behind the counter stared at us in shock as we rushed inside, babbling about the nightmare we had just endured. The authorities were called, and soon the area was swarming with police and military personnel. They listened to our story with a mixture of skepticism and concern, their eyes narrowing as they processed the horrors we described. The news reports that followed were a blur of chaos and disbelief. The monsters that had attacked our school were being referred to as anomalous entities, and the authorities were working tirelessly to contain the threat. We were told that the creatures had vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving behind a trail of destruction and terror. In the aftermath, I found myself haunted by the memories of that day. The roars of the creatures, the smell of decay, the sight of Lisa's terrified eyes. Our survival felt like a miracle, a stroke of luck in the face of unimaginable horror. As the weeks turned into months, life slowly returned to normal, but the scars of that day remained, etched into our minds as a constant reminder of the fragility of our existence. We had survived a nightmare, had come face to face with monsters that defied explanation, and as the world moved on, I couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, lurking in the shadows, those creatures were waiting for the opportunity to strike again, to shatter our sense of safety and plunge us back into the darkness of that fateful day.